Oh, hey there. Steve Deace alongside Aaron McIntyre. We are your co-hosts here on Bigger 10. It is time for this week's confidence picks. I didn't know you were going to me that fast, but I was enjoying that funky music. Thank you.
I'll just be honest with you. I wasn't even paying attention there. I just pushed the button, and I'm
not
even sure if I
should have discovered.
Yeah, I wasn't even sure if that's when I should have pressed the button and cut to you, but that's where we are now.
It's where we are, and the audience would prefer we were not. So let's just all move on. Let's get to our picks brought to you by our friends over at BetQL. It is the only sports betting app you're ever going to need to make the smartest of bets. With their best bets computer model scanning over 350,000 unique bets per year to give you a best bet recommendation for every game across all major sports. And it gives you the reasoning behind why you should place that bet as well. And these models cover everything from spreads to over-unders, even player props. And you can also find out what the sharps, or those who do this for a living, who are they backing as well? And you get plenty of the latest updates on line movements, team summaries, injury news, and more. So head to the App Store or Google Play Store right now to download BetQL and enter the discount code MP at payment checkout for 25% off any of their subscription offerings. Again, enter the discount code MP at payment checkout for 25% off any of their subscription offerings from BetQL. So, Aaron, how'd we do last week? Where are we at year to date?
We will start with your picks. You got Penn State over Villanova as your 11 slot. Ohio State over Akron at 10. Missed Minnesota Bowling Green in the 9 slot. You got Iowa over Colorado State at 8. Michigan over Rutgers at 7. Northwestern at 6 over Ohio. Maryland over Kent State at 5. Nebraska over Michigan State at 4. Purdue over Illinois at 3. You missed Nebraska, I should say. You got Purdue, Indiana, and missed Wisconsin in 3, 2, or 1 in that order. Moving on to my picks, I've got Penn State over Villanova at 11. I got Michigan over Rutgers at 10. Iowa over Colorado State at 9. Of course, missed Minnesota at 8, so I'm one up on you by this point. I got Indiana over Western Kentucky. Ohio State over Akron at 6. Purdue over Illinois at 5. We both had Nebraska at Michigan State at 4, which we both missed, obviously. Wisconsin over Notre Dame I had as my 3 slot. Northwestern over Ohio I had at 2. And I called the upset Kent State over Maryland at 1. So that means you ended up beating me 52 points to 50 points this week, erasing my 1-point gain on you last week. I believe the margin, we'll check up on this in a couple of weeks, I believe the margin is now something like 13 or 14 points.
By the way, that Kent State-Maryland game was a hell of a lot closer than the box score.
Kent
State had 500 yards in that game.
They just could not get into the end zone.
11 of their 13 drives, they got into Maryland territory. Yep. 11 out of 13. Yep. And they got 1 touchdown out of those drives. Okay?
Yikes.
Yeah, so that was a crazy box score.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to this week's picks. You ready to go?
Absolutely.
All right, let me run down mine. We've got 8 games this week. I'm going Illinois. Gets a feel-good win over Charlotte, who's not very good at home. Next, I'm going to take Michigan State over Western Kentucky, although this is a huge letdown spot for Sparty. But Western Kentucky doesn't have any defense at all. None. Okay. I'll go with Penn State over Indiana in a huge revenge game. Remember, losing that game on that controversial call last year sent Penn State's season into that downward spiral, right? So I think that they want to make a statement on Saturday night. I'm going to go with Wisconsin over Michigan for my 5-point game. Again, I think Jim Harbaugh has 1 road win ever against a ranked team, even though Wisconsin isn't ranked. I think we all know from a Graham Mertz notwithstanding standpoint, they should be. And Michigan just hasn't won there in over 20 years. No, it's been 20 years. So I'll go with the Badgers. Nebraska over Northwestern. I'm more in the variety. I know I said on Bigger 10 this week, this game's either a blowout or Northwestern wins. I kind of think it's going to be a blowout. I think you see Nebraska come home after a couple of frustrating, narrow losses, and they take it out on the weakest team in our league. My 3-point game is Iowa over Maryland. Just the point spread in this game, man, I don't know. It's just because here's what's funny. I'm actually more confident. If you told me who to pick on the money line, I'd take Maryland. But
Yep.
I actually like Iowa laying the points. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Because, I think either Maryland wins or Iowa does what it
Covers.
does on the
Yep.
road, which is cover every damn time. Haven't they covered like every road game for like 3 years or something? It's kind of nuts, the streak they've been on. I'm going to go with Ohio State over Rutgers, but it's only my 2-point game because that's another line that smells. That line smells. And you've got a freshman quarterback, making his first start on the road. And I will say this, I don't know how good Rutgers is, but their defense is legit. Those defensive numbers have been good all year long. So I'll take the Buckeyes, but and my 1-point game, I'll go with Minnesota over Purdue. That if there's any pride in that program at all, they will play better and bounce back. I just don't think they're that good. Okay, so I think the pride might be there. They just may not be that good. So I'll take 1 point with the Gophers. Aaron.
My 8-point slot is actually Ohio State over Rutgers. Now, I've bet on them to cover the spread, Ohio State, twice this year. I think maybe once live, and I can't remember. I've lost both the times I've bet on, well, actually 3 times because I bet on them money line when they got down against Oregon. So I'm 0 for 3 picking Ohio State. So I'm staying away from actually betting that game, but I still feel pretty confident that they'll be able to prevail over Rutgers, but I do agree that line does stink. At the number 7 spot, I've got Penn State over Indiana. Again, I agree that this is going to be a big revenge spot, but I do think that'll be an entertaining game. Hopefully it will be. 6, I'm pretty confident Nebraska is going to roll up on Northwestern, as are you. Number 5, Nebraska, at some point, you have to think Nebraska will just... Some sort of catharsis has to come out.
They will. In 2 weeks at home at night against Michigan.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
At my 5 spot, I've got Minnesota over Purdue. I also like your analysis. Minnesota has several glaring holes, but goodness gracious, if you have any intestinal fortitude whatsoever on that team, you got to come out with your head on fire, with your hair on fire against Purdue, and I think they will. The 4th spot, I've got Iowa over Maryland. I'm really confident in Iowa's defense. I'm not confident in Iowa's offense to move against even a porous defense. But at the same time, this is more of a fate of Mike Locksley than anything else right now. These spots are relatively early on in the season. He has not done well in. His teams have not done well in. In fact, they've suffered blowouts against, when they finally go up against a team with a little bit more than a pulse on defense. So I've got Iowa over Maryland there. Not necessarily it's a vote of confidence in Iowa, but a fate of Maryland. Number 3, I've got Illinois over Charlotte. I kind of wanted to call an upset here, but I just can't do that. Charlotte's not that great.
My Illinois season win total over best bet says you cannot call for an upset here.
Yeah,
no.
I've got Illinois under as well. Western Kentucky over Michigan State. That's my 2 spot.
Oh, boy.
Western Kentucky.
If we lose as a league to Bowling Green and Western Kentucky in consecutive weeks, come on, man.
Western Kentucky played Indiana tough. Lost by 2, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they had over 30 first downs in the game.
And they played Army tough. All right. Lost by 3 points. And Army's not super great this year, but it's still the triple option. Yeah, they're not great on defense.
Army's going to win 8, 9, 10 games.
This team, I think, is a lot better than the record indicates. And I think this is a letdown spot for Michigan State as well. I mean, it's last week. Did you see the stands in East Lansing?
Yeah, with the stripes.
Not full.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. If you could see
them. The not full stripes.
Sleepy East Lansing. I know I called a big upset last week. I gotta take Western.
I will tell you, your handicap here has me rethinking my own pick. I think you might.
Yeah.
You might have talked me at least into considering this.
Yeah, I'm not super confident. That's why it's the 2. But my least confident game of the week, Wisconsin over Michigan. I've got a 1. I just don't know. I don't know what to expect. Last week I said if Wisconsin's defense shows up, Notre Dame will score once, maybe twice. I didn't really take into consideration that Graham Mertz would throw 2 pick sixes in the 4th quarter.
98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown.
On special teams as well. So those are my picks, our picks for this week.
That'll do it for this week's Confidence Picks, brought to you by, one more time, BetQL, the only app you're going to need to beat your sportsbook and find their information along with a 25% off discount code in the description of this video. And also check out the special BetMGM offer in the description in order to receive $200 in free bets and other sportsbook sign-up offers and bonuses from BetQL. The #1 app to compare betting odds. It's a must-get if you want to beat your sportsbook this football season. I'm Steve Deace for Aaron McIntyre. Don't forget, at Bigger10 on Twitter to follow us there. Until then, we'll see you next week right here on Bigger 10.